IMPFest is the Improvised Music Project's flagship event every year, and it's a several-day-long festival in the springtime, and we call it IMPFest, which is, of course, the acronym for IMP Festival. The Improvised Music Project started in 2007, and in that year, Kung Vu had just come to the University of Washington and was a brand new professor here. And he looked around and saw that there weren't many students playing in bands outside of the school. There's a pretty active student base here in the groups at the university, but people weren't really forming groups or playing out in the city. And so he said, everyone needs to be forming bands and making the music they want to play, whether or not it's jazz, whether or not it's what we're playing in school, and then present those bands. And one great way to do that would be to have an overarching organization that is putting shows together and pulling for audiences and promoting. And so that's how the Improvised Music Project began.
So this year we have invited Steve Swallow, legendary jazz bassist, and Chris Cheek, who's a tenor saxophonist, and we'll have Bill Frisell returning this year. And the students leading up to this week have been listening to their records, and the guest artists have sent their music ahead of time, so we've been looking at the music that the students will be working on and just kind of getting into the world of each of these artists, getting their sounds and their aesthetic in their ears, and so they can do the best job possible when the artists arrive.
Let's try it at a relaxed tempo, but ultimately it's fairly bright, and I'm thinking that this might be the opener that we were casting around for yesterday, which means then we still got Bite Your Grandmother for a closer. So yeah, I'll try it at a moderate tempo, and ultimately you can fill in, Thomas, wherever the holes appear. But for starters, try catching most of the head with us too. So we're all in unison on the in head, but then on the out head, Greg and I will be playing time, and you two will play the head without us. Okay.
In terms of improving as a musician, the IMP has helped me tremendously, and most of that is just standing next to some of these amazing legendary players and having to rise to the occasion. One of the first times I felt that was playing with Tim Byrne, which I believe was in the third festival. And we were playing some really difficult music. Anyone who knows Tim Byrne's music is aware that it's extremely complex. And it was so fun trying to take that music and make it as musical as he does with his sidemen. And it was an extremely valuable growing experience. And the flip side is also having the chance to hang with all these musicians and spend time with them outside of rehearsals, going to dinner or just chatting about what it's like living in New York or anything like that, what their history was like, how they made it from when they were, our age, and, what stages of their career they've been through.
In a setting where they are sharing the bandstand with world-class musicians and feeling all of the intensity and the experience and the intent that is behind the music within these people. And it's an exhilarating experience for our students, and it's something that we cannot recreate in the classroom. And one thing that I think is great about the program that we have here at the School of Music at the University of Washington is we are trying to create as many possibilities for the students to experience that, whether it's just with themselves or with the faculty or with guest artists, but really putting an emphasis on getting out there and playing and having a shared experience with each other and with an audience in a room, because that's where this music lives. It doesn't live in the classroom. Here at the festival, the students are given the opportunity and challenged with promoting these concerts and organizing the equipment and the logistics and the venue for these concerts to come off. And these are, skills that they are going to need to do for themselves as they leave school and become professional musicians. These days, you need to be able to do all those things.
Figuring out how to organize and promote and run our own, business, really, because being a freelance jazz musician today is not just being great at jazz or great at any type of music. It's also knowing how to market yourself, being presentable, getting the audience there, promoting, all sorts of things like that, and getting funding, writing grant proposals and stuff like that, which is invaluable because that's going to be a part of being a musician for, as long as the current paradigm exists, which is, who knows.
The Jazz Studies program at the University of Washington is very closely tied to the greater Seattle jazz community. For one thing, we have a lot of recent graduates of the University of Washington music program that are stuck around Seattle and are really investing in creating a scene and a community that supports the music that they want to make. So we have a record label, Table and Chairs. We have an improvised music series at Cafe Racer, all started by University of Washington graduates, and our current students are already participating in these programs, and as they leave school will have a home to go to if they choose to stay in Seattle to make their music and share it with the community.
Running the risk of being sappy, then the IMPFest is my favorite part of the year for multiple reasons. Partially because I love performing, but I also love, in particular, performing and bringing the music outside of the school to people that normally maybe wouldn't hear it.
Every year my reaction, and pretty much everyone I talk to, is like, wow, this is the best festival we've ever had. And I felt that way since the very beginning. And that's not to demean any of the past festivals, but it just gets bigger and better, and more crowds, more exposure, more artists, more support. And so it's really exciting to see what's going to happen in the coming years.
Definitely sad to be graduating and won't be able to be a part of the festival anymore. At least as a student.
Yeah.
Maybe I can come as a shoe shiner or something.